Hello everybody, thank you for coming to another story time today. Today our story time is going to be about an animal that you can only see in the state of Minnesota in the very northern corners of our state, or if you're in Wisconsin you might be able to find one in the north part of the state. You can also see them in the northern parts of North Dakota, Michigan, New York, the New England states, the Rocky Mountains, and then Alaska and Canada have a lot of this animal. It's also the biggest member of the deer family that's still living today. Anybody know what it is? If you said moose, you are right. So our story today is going to be about a moose. And I'm excited to read this story today because even as you are watching, I am headed up north into an area near the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. And I'm really hoping that while I'm up there, either on my drive or while I'm up there for the next week, that I get to see a moose. I look every year when I go, and I have never seen one in Minnesota. I did see some moose out in the Rockies, but I've always wanted to see one here in Minnesota. How many of you have seen a moose? They're pretty big. So our story today is called There Are No Moose on This Island, and it was written by Stephanie Calmenson and illustrated by Jennifer Therms. And this book takes place on an island off the coast of Maine. And Maine has the largest population of moose in any of the lower 48 states, so not counting Alaska because they have a lot of moose. So let's find out more in our story. There are no moose on this island. My dad and I sailed across a bay to an island in Maine on a warm summer day. Dad said, "There'll be lots of animals to see. Just keep your eyes open and listen to me." The animals live free here. They're all running loose. "Awesome," I said. "Let's go find a moose." Dad studied his book. He said, "I'm sorry, son. There are no moose on this island." I said, "Not even one?" "Let me see," said my dad with his nose in the book. "No, not even one. Don't bother to look." There's a lot going on here. So we see some seals, we see some birds, because Maine is on the ocean, right? Some seabirds. But then, who do we see up here? He says, "Psst, what about me?" Do you think there's moose on the island? "Trust me, Jake, there's life in the sea that swims, suns, and slinks. See those seals? I count 3. 1, 2, 3. But lots of life in the ocean. There are no moose on this island." What am I? A mouse? "There's a moose, Dad. I only see trees." Sometimes we're not very good at paying attention to what's around us. "You'll find birds on the water, on the rocks, in the air. Look at the wings on that hawk flying there." But who's in the corner? There are no moose on this island. "Yoo-hoo, Dad! I'm over here." Jake's saying, "Dad, look! I can't see anything. The sun's in my eyes." This little boy has found a moose on the island, but Dad can't see it. "There are lots of insects that hop, swim, and fly. Quick, grab your sandwich. There are ants marching by." But let's see whose feet are up here. There are no moose on this island. "I'm a moose marching by." "There he goes, Dad. Help! I've got ants in my pants." "Look for 4-footed mammals, smooth-coated and furry. Pay close attention. There's a fox in a hurry." But there are no moose on this island. "You're not looking, Dad," Moose says. "You're not looking, Dad," Jake says. "I'm looking at my watch. We have to catch the ferry," Dad says. Our day has gone quickly. I'd done all I could to help my dad see the moose in the wood. Then back on the ferry, as we were crossing the bay, I saw the moose clearly, not a thing in the way. Moose is saying, "Bye-bye." I had to act fast before the sun set. I called, "Dad, please look now. It's the last chance you'll get." Dad put down his book. Then he looked straight ahead. His eyes popped wide open. And finally, he said, "I really do see him. Jake, you were right. There is a moose on this island. Wow, what a sight." Meet the moose. Let's learn a little bit more about our moose friends. It says, "I am the largest member of the deer family. I am 9 feet long, 6 feet high to my shoulder, and I weigh 1,400 pounds without my antlers." Whoa, that's a lot of moose. "I am an official state animal of Alaska and Maine. In Scarborough, Maine, the Len Libby Candy Shop has a life-size chocolate moose made out of 1,700 pounds of milk chocolate. For short distances, I can sprint about 35 miles an hour. For longer distances, I trot about 20 miles an hour. I'm a male moose, so I'm called a bull. A female moose is called a cow. Only male moose have antlers. My antlers are 5 feet across and weigh 80 pounds. Every year I shed my antlers in the fall and grow new ones in the spring." Maybe some of you, if you're really lucky, have found moose antlers that have been shed. "I'm a vegetarian. On land, some of the things I like to eat are grass, twigs, pine cones, and tree bark. I also eat lilies, pondweeds, and other plants found in the water. I can paddle several miles at a time and go completely underwater for about half a minute." So our moose are very good swimmers. And that's all in our story about moose. So I wanted to read this book for 2 reasons. One, because I super hope I see a moose this week. Well, and because I actually went to Maine last fall and I looked everywhere for a moose and I did not find one. So I felt a lot like the dad in this story, and maybe there was a moose there and I just didn't notice it. And that's the other reason I really like this book, is it's a good reminder to pay close attention out in nature. Dad's kind of distracted, looking at his watch, checking in his guidebook, looking at all these things, while his son's like, "Dad, there's a moose." So sometimes we just have to let go of our distractions and really focus on where we are at the time, and we might see some really cool things if we can do that. So I will see you next week for a very special story time. Bye-bye.